Today we're talking about the pros and cons of renting versus buying a home in Utah. Hi, I'm Becca Summers. If you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe. On this channel, we talk about everything Utah and real estate, and if you're looking to move to Utah and would like some extra guidance, reach out to us here. We work with out-of-state clients all the time. So today we're talking about renting versus buying in Utah. If you were to rent a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom in Lehi, the rent range would be $1,850 to $2,200 a month, depending on the condition of the property. Now, if you were to buy that same property, it would cost you a lot less than that. And $1,850 to $2,200 a month would get you a $375 house to a $450 house in that same area. So it is more expensive to rent a home than it is to buy a home. So let's go over the pros and cons of why you'd want to rent versus buying. So the pros of renting is the flexibility of knowing that you can move if you don't like the area. The other pro of renting is getting to know the area, knowing that maybe you'll rent for a year or two to make sure that you like the neighborhood or the cities that you've been investigating. And the last pro is the landlord takes care of all your repairs, so you don't have to worry about repairs after a big cross-the-country move. The cons of renting is it is super hard to find a rental that allows pets. People in Utah are really weird about renting to pets, so it's hard to find a rental that allows pets. Another con to renting is your landlord could choose to not renew your lease and make you move at some random time in the year. Utah is a super landlord-friendly state, so great for investment properties if you're thinking about buying investments, not so great if you're a renter and gonna be stuck in a situation where you have to move. Another con to renting is it is way more expensive to rent a house in Utah than it is to buy that exact same house. And the last one is no equity growth, which if you're only going to be there for a year, it's not a big deal. But if you're going to rent for 5 to 10 years, you are paying someone else's mortgage down with nothing to show for it. So let's talk about the pros and cons of buying a house in Utah. So probably the biggest pro to buying a house is you get equity growth. Every month you're paying down part of your equity and you are gaining value in the property. Another pro is you get to paint the house and do whatever you want to it. So if you buy a house and you don't like the colors, you get to change that. When you're renting, you don't have as much flexibility with that. And the last pro to buying a house is you get to lock in your housing costs at today's rate instead of prices going up. Because when you rent a property, your landlord by the contract can raise your prices, your rental price between 5 and 15% depending on what your contract says. So you get to lock in today's rate versus continuing to go up. So what are the cons of buying a property? Probably the biggest con to buying a property is you're locked in that place and you're probably not going to be able to sell it for at least 5 to 7 years depending on what property you buy because of the cost to sell. So you want to make sure that you really like it. And the other one is you're going to have to take care of all the repairs. The swamp cooler breaks, the water heater breaks, that's going to be a cost that you have to cover as a homeowner because you don't have the landlord to cover it for you. If you're thinking about moving to Utah and you want to go more in depth on these pros and cons of renting versus buying, reach out. I'd love to guide you through the process.